After spending a week in the Galapagos, I met up with my friend Ted to explore mainland Ecuador. We had to decide between the three regions of Ecuador: the coast, the Andes, and the rainforest. Ultimately, we both decided that we would be most excited to explore the highlands. Our first stop was Cuenca. Cuenca was such a beautiful little city surrounded by mountains and 3 rivers, and Ted and I practiced our Spanish by talking about how the city felt like a real-life Stardew Valley. We explored the historic city center, the ruins, and the super cool biopark. Our second stop was Cajas National Park, which was about an hour bus ride outside of Cuenca. I was so nervous before this trip about hiking at high altitude since I had never really spent any time at anywhere close to that altitude. We got to the park and did a lower elevation hike that was so beautiful. We befriended a pal on the way and got to see some alpacas. We weren't really feeling the effects of the elevation, so we felt confident to go further into the park. 30 minutes more into the park and it looked like a completely different planet.
We just finished hiking around Toreadora. Definitely a little lightheaded. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. I think, it went pretty good. I think Kilauea, I'm not worried about it anymore.
Yeah.
Our third stop of the trip was Baños, a town known for its adventure sports, natural thermal baths, and the gateway to the Amazon. We had a really rough travel day and it was pouring rain, so this was probably the worst day of the trip. But we finally made it to the hostel, which we had all to ourselves, and befriended the hostel kitty, so things were looking up. The next day, the weather had cleared up and we decided to do La Ruta de las Cascadas. We would be biking halfway and taking a bike shuttle back. Despite a fall on the slippery cobblestone, getting my pants caught in the gears, and some scary tunnels, the ride was a success. We did unfortunately lose a game of chicken with the bike shuttle people after an hour wait for anyone else to help split the cost of a ride back to town. After stalling as long as we could at the empanada shop, we finally gave up and bit the cost. Our fourth stop would be the Kilauea Lake hike. This 3-day hike features Kilauea Lake, a volcanic caldera, and the lush valleys and mountainside villages around it. This was what I was looking forward to the most, but also what I was most nervous about. The hike was so hard, but thankfully we didn't feel the effects of altitude too much after acclimating in Cajas and Cuenca. Each day we were totally exhausted, but it felt so worth it. On our way back to Quito, we realized that we had gotten lucky with weather and had a rare clear view of Cotopaxi. So as our final stop, instead of Quito, we would spend a night in Cotopaxi before flying out the next day. The next morning, we started hiking out and saw some wild horses before hitching a ride for the final stretch.
We made it! Woo!
We got hot chocolate and played some cards once we got to base camp, before making it to the glacier. I'm so glad we pushed ourselves to add this stop because it felt like the perfect ending to our trip. I think sometimes it's hard for me to verbalize why I love to travel so much, and this trip really felt like the culmination of why. Getting to challenge my own limits, immersing myself in different cultures, and seeing how vast and beautiful the world is.